Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. Happening in Tennessee, where Republicans there pass a bill that essentially criminalizes voter registration drives. The GOP, they control the House, and this is after Tennessee Voter Project registers 90,000 people. Now, it hasn't passed the Senate there, but the GOP controls the Senate as well as the governorship. Chris, I want to go to you. You're a conservative. We've talked about this beforehand. Here you have Republicans there. We had one of the organizers on the show a couple of weeks ago. She actually said that the way that these rules are set up, if there is any error on a single voter registration card, they can slap a fine for every single one of those errors, and it's up to the local voter registrar to determine what that error is, even if it's a comma, even if it's if the initial was S instead of P or whatever. That's the extent that they're going. But seriously, we're criminalizing folks who are trying to register people to vote?
Well, hey, look, so first of all, of course, you know, I believe that voter registration, people who are registered to vote should be who they say they are. So let's start there. However, when you get into a situation where you start to criminalize voter registration drives and things along those lines, I have spoken extensively to my Republican colleagues about this. Are you interested in the short game or the long game? Because criminalizing voter registration, when we say that, in fact, we believe every legal vote should count, is a contradiction, number one. Number two, it starts to make us look like we don't believe that we can win fairly and squarely.
Chris, I'm going to read this for you. The vote was 71-26, and this is what it says. They complained that they said that there were thousands of late filed registration forms, saying it was creating difficulties. And so what they're going to do is this here. It's going to require voter registration drives to undergo training and force them to hand in completed documents earlier. But check this out. The bill seeks to assess a civil penalty against groups that turn in more than 100 deficient voter registration applications. But again, the idea of what's deficient isn't even spelled out. It's really left up to that local voter registrar. And so they can say anything is deficient. Go ahead.
Well, and that's the problem. And also from a legal standpoint, look, you cannot be so vague. When you say deficient, but you don't offer guidance as to what deficiency is, from a strictly constitutional standpoint, that does not pass the smell test, much less the constitutional test. So, sure, if you want to have a rule like that, fine. However, you've got to tell me what deficient is. Deficient as defined by what? Is it an objective standard? Is it a subjective standard? What is it? It is that, you know, ability. Nobody's saying that they don't have the right to make those rules. Certainly they have the right to do it, but it has to be done both in the context of the state constitution and the federal constitution. And from a strictly political standpoint, I go back again to the fact that as conservatives, as Republicans, we are to be fighting for the vote rather than fighting the right to vote. And in some cases, unfortunately, that's the path we're going down.
Julian, according to this story, the Nashville Tennessean, under the bill, a criminal penalty could be assessed if a group leading a registration drive does not take the required training.
And what's the required training and who administers the training? I mean, Chris, you're full of it, quite frankly. I mean, conservatives don't want to be fair. Conservatives have consistently attempted to suppress the vote. Let's look at Georgia. Let's look at Florida. And let's look all over the country. People are registering voters because we see it. We know that when people want to be included and vote, we're seeing different results than what the status quo is right now. That's why you have all this diversity in Congress now. That's why I have more women. That's why I have Ilhan Omar in Congress. No, y'all don't want that. Y'all want to arbitrarily, if you left out a period or hyphen or something like that, say, first of all, throw the registration out, but more importantly, attempt to suppress people's ability to register voters. That's unreasonable and it's unfair.
Kelly, check this out.
These people are letting you know where they're coming from.
But Julianne, I don't appreciate you painting me and every conservative with one brush, because that is absolutely wrong.
I don't care whether you appreciate it or not. I don't appreciate you defending these bankrupt, morally bankrupt
in that
policies.
case, I believe if you're going to take it there, here's where I'm going to take it. I believe that liberals and people like you are interested in stealing the vote by having illegal immigrants vote.
They're not even shopping and stealing.
Like us, in what context?
Hold on, Kelly, 1 second.
Okay, if that's the context you're going to put it in, you are having an unreasonable conversation. You are trying to attack me because I'm a conservative, and I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
1 second. Kelly, I want to go to you. I'm reading from the Nashville, Tennessee editorial. This is what they say. They say right here that the Tennessee, first of all, the draconian approach will make Tennessee the only state to criminalize the submission of voter registration forms. They also say Tennessee already has one of the lowest percentages of registered voters in the country. In the 2018 elections, Tennessee ranked 45th in citizens voting. Kelly.
To my panelist's point regarding Republicans wanting to fight for the vote as opposed to the fighting for the right to vote, statistics like this prove that they're not fighting for us in terms of what we want to do with our vote. And with laws like this, who does it impact the most? It impacts people of color. It impacts minorities. It impacts the elderly, because we still have a portion of our population that is still, old enough to not have all the required documents, such as a birth certificate. My grandfather has technically 2 birthdays because he wasn't allowed to be registered as a baby where he was in South Carolina. So he has legally 2 birthdays because of racism, basically. So with Tennessee being part of that Bible Belt, who is it impacting? It's impacting people who look like me. It's impacting people who look like my grandfather. It's not impacting people who want to vote for Donald Trump. It's not impacting people who want to preserve racism in this country. So again, I disagree with my panelists here in saying that this is what you guys aren't trying to fight for. It's proof that this is what you want to do.
And again, folks, what you're dealing with here is, as a Tennessee editorial says, the complaint is not people who were voting illegally. The complaint is we just had too many to process. That's literally what the complaint is. And that's why there's a bill. It was just too many forms to process, which means that voter registration was working. Want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.